but now from a blast from the past was Whittaker-Bermite. Remember, that was a facility used for load munitions, for instance, World War I believe. And they loaded them all through World War II and the Korean War, and they're cleaning up right now. So Rick Drew is president of the Citizens Advisory Group. He'll give us a little update of what went on at the interjurisdictional meeting and the last CAG meeting. So let's give Rick a big hand. There you go, Rick. Give him a good hand.
Thank you, Al. As most of you know, the Whittaker-Bermite property is over in the middle of the city. It's called the Donut Hole. It's 996 acres. It's behind Saugus Speedway, to the west of Golden Valley Road, to the north of Circle J Ranch, and to the east of Railroad Avenue. At the last multi-jurisdictional task force meeting, there wasn't a lot announced. They've just concluded comments on the OU7 RAP, which is the deep water and the water remediation plan. They're going through the comments now, and they will give answers to all the comments as soon as that's completed, and I'm not exactly sure how long that's supposed to take. The remedial action plan will be certified. Things are starting to move on the property. By the end of the year, there should be in full force grading OU5, which is behind the train station, to the first ridge is where they're going to start grading and treating the soils. They're also going to start putting in water pipes for their wells to treat the groundwater, which will be pumped up to a holding tank up on one of the ridges, which then will be come down by gravity down to a treatment plant, which will be located on Soledad Canyon Road. The water will be treated. What they don't use on the property will be dumped into the river. And they have the permits of the Regional Water Quality Control Board and all of that kind of thing. At the meeting, they did announce that, well, first thing is what the CAG does is the CAG's hoping to try to make people aware of what's going on with Whittaker-Bermite. It's really a major issue. It's a huge, complex issue. It's a lot of property up there, and there's a lot of people that really like to get their hands on it to develop it. But they're unable to do so until it all gets cleaned up. And we want people to be aware that not only is the main contaminant is the perchlorate, and it's water soluble, that's why it's into the water table. And the plume extends close to 2 miles to the west. It's closed down two of the Valencia wells. It's two of the Saugus wells were shut down for 10 years. They're in production, but now one of those is closed. They're having a lot of trouble keeping the casings intact. I guess the casings are corroding faster than they anticipated. But they treat the water from Saugus 1 and 2, the one well behind Saugus Cafe, the other one is over on Magic Mountain and near the river. Those are the two that were supposed to be the barrier wells to try to keep the plume from growing, but the plume has grown clear to basically McBean and Magic Mountain. It's gone at least there. They're still trying to figure that out. They've also seen CLWA admitted that VOCs, which are volatile organic compounds, have been showing up in minute amounts, and the amounts that they don't have to report yet, but they have shown up in Saugus 1 and 2 water. So they've hired consultants to try to locate the origin of the VOCs. Right now, they don't believe the VOCs are coming off of the Bermite property, because VOCs aren't as water soluble as perchlorate is. They think they've got all the VOCs contained on the property. They're working on soil vapor extraction. They have 2 or 3 vapor extraction units going. They have 8 more in the process of actually being built and ready to go. They'll be implementing those in the near future. The water treatment is scheduled to take probably 30, but closer to 50 years before all the water treatment's finally complete. So that's a major deal. And the perchlorate, not only the perchlorate, but the VOCs also are, they're in the drinking water, mainly of Santa Clarita water and CLWA water, all the groundwater to the west of the Bermite property. If you're Newhall County water, most of those wells come basically out of the Candy Country area for us in Candy Country, and unless we get the state water from CLWA, we're not getting quite as much. What we want to do is we want to just make people very aware, and we would really hope for more interest in this. Our last CAG meeting, we had 5 people from the public show up for our meeting, which was really poor. But we keep trying. Our next meeting will be November 2nd. It's at the Santa Clarita Methodist Church on Bouquet, right across from the El Presidente restaurant. We meet at 7 o'clock in the evening. The same day is the multi-jurisdictional task force meeting, where CLWA, Department of Toxic Substance Control, and the people representing Whittaker all make their reports to the city and to anybody that wants to come and listen to their reports. And then we hold our CAG meeting in the evening for people that can't make the 3:30 in the afternoon multi-jurisdictional meeting. So right now, like I say, they're getting ready to start. Of course, I've been hearing this for 3 years, and actually close to 5 years, that it's right around the corner. But they say the corner's getting shorter, so we'll see. They've got till the end of 2016 is the timeline that Department of Toxic Substance Control has given Whittaker to get the ground cleaned up on the property. They're starting with OU5. There's some areas up there that'll never be cleaned up totally to an unrestricted. Some of it will be left open space, some of it will be able to use for park space, soccer fields, that type of thing. But some of that area up there is just highly contaminated. But like I say, we should be seeing some action up there soon, and if Berta gets her way soon, there should be a bulldozer knocking down the house that's on Soledad. But the house is going down and the water treatment plant's going up. So it'll be a more modern structure. Anyway, any questions?
Yes, sir. I understand that Whittaker has a timeline where they're no longer going to insure this. Is that correct? And what is that?
Their insurance is through a company called Chartis, which is basically AAIG. The insurance policy goes through 2019. But their DTSC is going to make sure there's money set aside in like an escrow account to make sure that there's plenty of money to handle future issues, along with all the water until the water totally gets cleaned up, like I say, which could take up to 50 years.
I have gone to a few of those meetings, not so much the CAG, but as the actual daytime meeting. And my biggest concern is it is so damn linear. They do one thing and then something else, and I don't understand why they can't tackle 2 or 3 different things in different areas at the same time. That's number one. And number two, once they realized the plume of perchlorate contaminated water was still spreading, why didn't they immediately put in another water treatment facility so that the water would be cleaned up twice as fast?
Number one answer is probably bureaucracy. That permits, and they've been waiting for the city to give them grading permits so that they could start the grading. They've had to get the okay from Edison for power. They've had to wait you hear all their excuses and you like say, why can't you do this, or why can't you guys get this done and that done and everything. There's progress going on up there. I've seen it. I mean, we've been up there and we've seen the progress. It's very slow. It's very, like I said, it's very complicated. There's a lot of players in this game. A lot of players going up there and doing the different things. They said that it's going to start happening hopefully in November. They're planning on taking Councilman Acosta up there and give him a tour of the property, and he's on the subcommittee. Hopefully I get to go along, and hopefully we'll see some action going on up there more than what we've seen. The last time I went up there, we saw their soil vapor extraction unit working, which, like I said, they're putting in 11 of them. As far as they were trying to control the plume, and they thought they had it controlled with Saugus 1 and 2. That was their ideas, and they thought those were going to be their barrier wells. And by the time they got them started, because they were down for 10 years, and by the time they got the permits to finally get them going, and they got the right treatment process going on with the resins and that they use, and they found out it had spread. And they've had modeling, and the modeling has failed. It's hard to look underground and see where it's at, so they keep having to drill different wells to try and find it. They're still in the process of doing modeling to find out exactly how far it's actually spread. But it is in the drinking water of Santa Clarita. They treat the water for the perchlorate. They haven't started treating it for VOCs yet, but then water people say that the solution to pollution is dilution, and they dilute the water 6-to-1. The treated water is diluted to 6-to-1 with state water, and then it's put into the drinking system. So that's why I want more people to be aware of what's going on, because majority of the people in Santa Clarita are drinking. If you drink any kind of tap water or use it, it's coming out of that, and it's being affected by Bermite.
I just wanted to follow up on a comment that you made. You barely touched on the electrical issue, but the fact that there is no power on that entire site, or very little, and that they've had to wait for Edison so that they can reinstate power to the whole site has been a real holdup for a lot of the cleanup. And then I also just wanted to follow up on the statement that you made about my involvement. I just want to encourage people that when they see something that is really bothering them, it might take 3 years of nagging, but the city has in fact stepped up to the plate and said that they are going to take over abating those dilapidated buildings that face Soledad that are downright ugly and blight our community. So don't lose the faith. Keep after the city if you see something that you need to get done. Thank you.
Oh, most definitely, squeaky wheel always gets grease.
Okay, Rick, I publicly want to thank you for all you do to contribute to that group, because it's boring. A lot of people don't want to go, but I do want to thank you because I know you are doing a public service.
Well, thank you.
The other thing I'd like to talk about, the other night when I was at Newhall County Water District, they were talking about the extra water that is going to be coming off of that property when they end up having more than they want. We would like it coming up to the Canyon Country area somehow, either in recycling, or that should not be going down to the west. It should be coming back up here. And so they mentioned that at that meeting, and I thought maybe you ought to hear this because you are rightly involved, and see what you can do about that if we can get that water up our area.
You know, we asked about the water going into the river. First asked about the chloride in the water, and the water that they're pumping out of the northern alluvium and stuff is very low in chloride, so they don't have a chloride issue when they're going to dump that into the river. The one thing that we've asked also is when they create a habitat for the water that's going in, they're going to create a habitat, and they're going to have to maintain that habitat forever. They know that, and they're aware of that also. As far as recycling of water, and I've asked that also about the recycling, CLWA is basically in charge of all the water in this valley. But they're the ones that supply the water to the people. And even the recycling water, they're the ones that need there needs to be infrastructure put in, let's put it that way. There needs to be an infrastructure put in to pipe it up, and I wish they would pipe it up to Canyon Country. They keep kicking around talking about putting it up and then letting it run down the river again and let it feed the water table and that type of thing from coming up to around Camp Plenty is where they were talking about dumping it into the river. But there's nothing. The city has no plans, as far as I know, of any kind of recycling. They've put purple pipe in for their medians, which is another story, and the Canyon Country Advisory Committee is working on the median thing right now. All the purple pipe's in, but they need to get the recycled water up to the purple pipes before they can use the purple pipes. Purple pipe is PVC that's purple that's used for recycled water, and so when they redid the medians along Soledad, all the purple pipe went in, which is really pretty, and they buried it all, but now it's not being used because they don't have recycled water to put in it. That's a good point. We plan on asking that again about getting some of that. What I've been told is about 99% of water that they're going to treat off the property that they're going to pump and treat will be used on the property. They'll be using it for dust control. They'll also be using it for the soil remediation when they dig up all the dirt and they throw it in. They have to make the dirt into a mud, and they put it in plastic bags, let it sit in the sun, and then they put bugs in it. They put microbes in it and let the microbes eat the perchlorate. That's how they treat it. And then they take the dirt out and then they put it back. I asked at the task force, because I got two stories. DTSC told me they're going to use 99% of the water on the property. And then Whittaker, when we went on the tour, Whittaker said, no, we're not going to use any of the water. So I asked them, both of them were sitting there, so I said, whose story's right? We'll go back up onto the property to use for, like I say, dust control and also the soil treatment. But the rest of it, there's a swale right next to the entrance to the Metrolink station. The farthest east entrance to the Metrolink station, there's a swale there, and it goes out into the river, and that's where the water's going to be put out there.
Yes, you stated that the water would be low in chloride, and I think that the time is ripe to get that water placed in the river, dilute the chloride content we have in the river, and stop this idiot sand district thing that's going to cost us $50 million a year before they're through or more, add on into infinity. So that water's low in chloride, it can dilute the river, and we'll be within the limits, and we'll no longer have a need for this thing that the Sand District has just launched and already has approval for.
I agree 100%. Problem is right now, water table is very, 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 very low with this drought. The water table right at underneath the train station is normally at down 20 feet. Right now it's below 80 feet deep. So if you look around the state and you see all these lakes that are empty, our water table's getting empty also. So they're hardly pumping any water right now. They do have a small treatment plant there now that treats 100 gallons a minute. But the new one's going to treat 600 gallons. But right now, they're hardly treating anything because they're just pumping out of the aquifer right there. They're not pumping off of the property up higher. But that's what's going to happen soon. So there's things going to be happening, and we'll keep asking questions about it. But really like to get the public involved a lot more. If you guys can't make the meeting, ask some of your friends, talk to your friends about it, because it affects all of us, because it is in our drinking water. They'll deny it to to their death almost, but it is in our drinking water. That's it.
Let's give Rick a big hand. I think, Sandra, you hit on one of my pet peeves. I've been to the last several interjurisdictional meetings, and I have a history in project management. You probably know that. And so one of the tenets of project management is if you have a plan, something might happen. But if you have no plan, I can guarantee you it won't happen. And that's exactly where I saw this group for the last several times I went to see them. And so the first thing I did as a project manager type is I said, where's your schedule? I mean, you're telling me you're waiting for electricity. You've been working on this for 15 years. Are you trying to tell me you just discovered you didn't have electricity on the site? You know, and they actually at the last meeting they said, well, you know, we have been waiting for electricity, but it hasn't been a pacing item. Really? So I kept asking for a schedule. And at the last meeting they said, you know what, you're right. We should come up and show you guys a schedule. So at this last meeting I went to, I said, you know, where's the schedule? I hear you guys talking about stuff, nice commentary. Where's the schedule? Where is the item that you're talking about in the schedule, and is it on the critical path, and will it cause something else to delay? Because if we keep doing this the way we're doing it, we'll hear every 4 or 5 years that you're going to be done in 4 or 5 years, just like we have in the past. And they said, oh, we did it. We have a schedule for you. And I just happened to have my tablet with me, so I put it in front of the person and said, show me. And they couldn't find it. Well, finally, toward the end of the meeting, they called me back over and said, we found it. And I saw this big, long list of things, and somewhere down here it said schedule, so I said, good, show me. And they go, no, we'll email you the link. I'm still waiting. All right? So I think all of your concerns are absolutely true. I mean, they're well-founded. Now, they claim that the next meeting they're going to come to, and I had a discussion with them, you know, afterwards, and they said, well, you know, when you do schedules and things, sometimes things don't always happen the way we expect, you know? I mean, it's kind of, we're plowing kind of new ground. And I said, you know, the last schedule I was involved in was the Mars exploration rover. And you know what? We didn't know a lot of things that were going to happen there either. But you scheduled them, and then you realize as a manager that things change, and you can go ahead and react to that. But like I said, if you don't plan it, it won't happen, right? So they claim that at the next meeting, they're going to talk to where these things are on the schedule. The one, of course, that they're going to email me at some time in the future. And we need to hold their feet to the fire to do that. Because they've been at this for 15 years. And being at this for 15 years, they're making discoveries today that I can't believe they didn't know. Or it does sound like they're just working on something linearly, like you said, and then they say, oh, my God, look, I better do this. And we're never going to get done. And we got to get done before the insurance company runs out of money, or what happens is the city takes over and you and I are going to end up paying for it.